Hey everybody, and welcome to Limited Time Only. This is Danny Cathro, and this is a special week. I'm here with my buddy Drew Thomas for the
Hey
first
guys.
time. Drew is my friend since I started playing Magic like 3 years ago or so. And so he actually is like the one of the first people that taught me or like helped me learn how to like get competitive in Magic. And so definitely like both of us learned a lot. Like probably starting 3 years ago for the last few years. So,
Mhm.
but welcome, Drew. Should be
Thank
fun
you.
doing a show with you.
Should be great.
And then also, I do want to shout out our sponsors for the show. So the first one is Game Grid, and they are a great shop here in Utah. There's a bunch of them. I personally go to the one in Lehigh all the time.
That's the one I go to as well.
Yep. And Jordan works there. He's great. Literally have nothing but good experiences there. And so if you want to support them, they're a really good store. And then they also have like a yearly tournaments. So if you're like loyal to their store and you earn a bunch of points, Planeswalker points there, then you can get like access to their free tournament they do, which has a really cash
Invitational.
prize.
Yep.
Yeah, they're invitational. So that one's sweet. And then our other sponsor is Fusion Gaming. So they're really cool. It's an online store. You can get like sealed product, lots of really good deals. They're based out of Canada, and I've like ordered from them several times, and they're always really fast and really accurate. So we're really grateful for them sponsoring us also. But today the Pro Tour is in a couple days, and so we just wanted to talk about Pro Tour prep. And so the way that we're going to kind of do it is we had a few things we wanted to run through, but I'm actually going to throw it over to Drew, and then just kind of like go over what I've been doing to prepare for the Pro Tour, kind of talk about what decks I like, and then Drew also kind of what decks we think are good in the format, and also where we think other people are and what decks we think other people will be drafting and cards that they like and stuff.
Because this is you're at your hotel waiting for the Pro Tour, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately, standard decks are due in like 3 hours or something. So
Have
that's
you actually submitted your list yet, or are you putting it off?
no, definitely putting it off. 11:45 as usual.
Do you anticipate any changes?
No, I mean, I think I'm gonna play the deck that I think is good. I mean, maybe like a card will change or something, but nothing too crazy. But
Let's go ahead and get started then, talking about some stuff. So, which decks have you found yourself kind of gravitating towards? What decks, like what archetypes and color combinations have you been drafting the most?
so I definitely started off by being like max greed and being in like 3 color decks constantly that were like pretty all over the place. So normally there would be green in there and like Grow from the Ashes and Skittering Surveyors. Be like green, blue, black, or green, red, black, or green, red, blue, or just like anything, right? Like I've tried to like hone it back a little bit, and I think what works the best is if you just splash a few cards in an off color if you are gonna splash. And so like the first deck that I've really liked and that I just go back to all the time is like mostly green, black, slash either blue or red. That deck has been like really good for me.
Do you find that you're playing 3 colors, like some sort of splash, more often than not, or would you say you mostly play 2 colors and then occasionally play splash?
I would prefer to splash in green, black.
Okay.
Because I want to play Grow from the Ashes, and so I want Grow from the Ashes to do something besides just ramp. But
So when
I
you're
think
playing green black, do you find yourself playing the Thallid deck more, or are you playing just good green stuff, black stuff with a splash?
so. The Thallid deck doesn't really come together for me very much. I mean, like the cards are fine. Like Slimefoot, you don't need any synergies. Like that card is just good. And then the only cards that you kind of want some amount of synergies are like Spore Swarm is better and Spore Crown Thallid. But like even oh, what's the 4 mana The Abyss? What's that card's name?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The sacrifice, pay 1 sacrifice.
The black one,
Gets
yeah.
+2/+2.
Yeah, so that card,
Omnivore.
yeah, Thallid Omnivore. So like that one, it works better with Saprolings, obviously. But you're just gonna kind of like have those incidentally, and you don't really need to like go all in on the Saproling deck. And then, so normally it's just like a good stuff. And then I normally want to splash because the power level of other cards is so high that you want to be able to like first pick a Tatiova or first pick a Imbolus's Clutches or open up a rare that you want to play like I don't know, there's like a whole bunch of rares that you would just splash. Like even if you just splash a double costed rare, you can still play it. Like Fight with Fire. Like you would love to splash that card.
So when you're drafting these green-black decks with a splash, how do you end up in these decks? Are you picking green-black cards and just going, oh, I'm going to be green-black? Or are you opening a card like a Fight with Fire and then you get a green card and then you decide that you want to head that direction?
It's only that. That's why it normally has a splash, is because I'll normally just be taking like whatever cards are most powerful. So like I'll start with Fight with Fire, or start with a Tatiova or a Imbolus's Clutches, and then like blue is an open or red is an open. And then so the way to kind of backdoor into being able to play that is if green is open, then you can play green and splash it and then just pick the other color. And I've liked black the most. Like I don't like green white very much. That's like too it feels kind of like pulled in a different direction. Like the token theme doesn't turn out super well for me. But
sure. Well, what other decks are you drafting besides green black? Because you can't do that every draft. You can't open a Growth from Ashes every game or every draft.
Yeah. Besides that, a lot of blue decks. I do think blue is probably the best color.
So do I.
Yeah, I think it's like the deepest. There's just so many good blue commons. Even like the middling blue commons perform really well. Like some people are really high on Opt. Like people are crazy high on Opt right now. But and that's probably like the 6th or 7th best blue common. Like it's really down the list. But so out of the blue decks that I like the most, I think blue white is really good. I think that's the best blue deck. It has like a really cohesive game plan. You get to utilize Deep Freeze. That's what that one's called, right?
Yeah, the 3 mana enchantment.
So like that card is actually good in your deck, whereas in a lot of other color combinations, that card is not particularly great.
It actually removes the creature rather than just makes them a blocker.
Yeah, like I played some decks where I have like a Journey Mage, I'll like Antilarian Scholar, and then I'll Deep Freeze something. It's that Deep Freeze, yes, it killed it, kind of, but like it is going to gain them 12 life. So it's like not as effective as if you're playing Wrath and Aven Sentries and Cloud Reader Sphinxes, and the Deep Freeze is like killing their flyer so that they can't stop your Flying Assault. So yeah, blue white seems great, but I think everyone kind of likes blue white.
Yeah. So what about blue black? Because that's my favorite to draft in this format.
I think blue black is probably the highest power level. Like the black cards that you're really looking for, it mainly you just get like Eviscerate. I think Eviscerate's really good, and then Cabal Skin Witch is great. I like having access to that card. That's like really good in that deck. And Dark Bargain, and so you like have more access to the controlling cards. So you like Divination and Dark Bargain, and then you get like Skin, which helps a lot with card advantage, and then just more removal, like hard removal. And so it lines up really well, and basically you're just going to play a bunch of card draw and a bunch of ways to kill things, and you grind people out. And that deck you can also splash by just like brute forcing it. I've played.
Yeah, I actually found that splashing in blue black was fairly easy when you combine things like an Opt or Divination, and you also have Dark Bargain to kind of filter through. And especially if you have a really powerful creature that you want to play, and then you have like an Eldest Reborn or the 4 mana 2/2 that gets creatures back by sacrificing creatures.
Whisper,
you can use the search for 2 cards, put one in the graveyard, one in your hand, and put the creature that you want to splash there, and then reanimate them, and you don't have to worry about the splash. So
I haven't used final carding very much, but that is one way to do it. That is kind of sweet.
That's what I was doing this last week with Daragaz. I was in a green-red deck, or black-red deck, splashing the green for Daragaz, and I would just go throw him in the graveyard and then reanimate him.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Works well with
Reborn is crazy too.
Yeah, it has to be something really, really powerful, or else it's just not worth it. But
yeah, what do you think of the turtle and like the blue decks?
I always want one, but I don't really ever want more than one.
So the only time I think I mostly agree with that. There's like certain cards that make me disagree. So like on Sarah's Wings, that's like the brutal combo.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like cards and yeah,
yeah. I mean like that plus turtle is like
yeah.
like that's the go-to, right? And then do you ever play like the Arcane Flight and Turtle? I haven't liked that very much.
Apart from the one draft at your house online,
That
where we had 4 of each. No, that's the only time I've played those together.
Okay.
I did lose recently.
So, because I've seen people do blue-white and just kind of like play turtles, and they want to play Arcane Flight anyway. Kind of. I mean, you know, like put it on your tapper or your 3/1 for 2, and just kind of like take a more aggressive stance to blue-white. And then if you're playing turtles, which are pretty good defenders anyway, then I've seen that be successful. But in blue-black, I don't think I would go for that at all.
So for blue-white and blue-black, how are you like ending up in these decks? What are your first 3 or 4?
It's normally just being blue. Like I take blue cards relatively highly, just because they're good. And so you just take good blue cards, and then the other colors, whatever the open color is, like white or black, like just whichever one is kind of flowing better. I think, yeah, I definitely start more drafts as being blue, but that's dangerous because like I think most people agree that blue is the best, and so you can get a little punished if you're first picking like a divination or something, because that's not really. It's a good card, but it's not like a first pick quality.
Are you first picking a Wrath?
Yeah, I did that today actually. I think that card is high enough power level that it's worth it.
What about Rona?
Rona, I don't actually think is like not nearly as good as Wrath. Rona is, it's like way sweeter, but it's not. It's just like not as good of it. Like it's so slow. Whereas like Wrath is actually like a respectable card.
I feel like there's other decks that are white or blue, and they'll splash Wrath, and so there's more competition for getting them. And then Rona, I feel like if you're blue-black, you're just going to get all of them.
Rona is like really fun to play, but I think it's like a little too. You need the right cards, right? Like you have to have historic cards, and you don't want to be playing crappy artifacts. You want to get like the good playable sagas, and then she's sweet, like really really good, and you can go off with her. But I don't think you should be taking her really highly because she doesn't come together.
So what are there any other decks that you're actively looking for?
Okay, so the one that I think is less popular that I actually think you can get a pretty good version is the red green deck, and it's like the run amok deck. I like red green more than red white, and so like red blue is also a deck that people like, but I feel like that one is super cut all the time. And so like red green I think is normally pretty open. But
is this the red green kicker deck, or is this the red green like Gaia's Protector deck?
so all right, so I saw like Ryan Sachs, he writes for Star City, and so I've been watching his streams. I think he's really good. And then he's been playing a lot of the red green Gaia's Protector, Warlord's Fury, Jousting Lance, and you're just trying to. So it's like a really good concept, right? So if everyone knows that blue is the best, then a really good way to combat like a known draft strategy is find out what cards are undervalued that you can reliably get. And so like you can reliably get this Gaia's Protector deck. Like no one's going to be 4th or 5th picking Gaia's Protectors. Like you'll get them 6th, 7th, 8th if they're in those packs. And so, or possibly even wheeling them. And then Jousting Lance, you can definitely get that card if you're willing to spend an early enough pick. And then Warlord's Fury, you'll get those as many as you want. And so these are like really reliable combos that are pretty strong. Like they don't work against every deck, right? Like if they just Gideon's approach you feel dumb. But I think trying to make more out of your 19th to 23rd cards is like a really good way to like find an edge in a draft. And so I've like trying to draft that deck, and I think it's like a good place to, or like a good deck to have in your like arsenal, I guess, of like
Mhm.
something that you're comfortable drafting. But normally you'll throw in some kicker stuff too. Like you're gonna get Halars and you're gonna play your gift of growth.
Yeah, gift of growth.
Gift of, you'll play your
The
gift of growth.
+2/+2 or +4/+4.
And like get 2 chronicler isn't normally very good in your like really aggro deck, but if you have some like if you just treat it as a 6-drop that gets back a run amok or gets back a gift of growth, then it can be really strong. Because the goblin is actually pretty good with gift of growth, the 2/2 that gets +1/+1 in menace, blood crazy goblin.
Mhm.
That card's actually like a more reasonable 2/2 for 2 than some of the other ones are.
Okay, and then how are you ending up in this deck? Are you first picking a Halar, or are you picking up a couple of green kicker cards and then just ending up with a red card that's good?
Yeah, so you don't normally get into it with like growing right or grow from the ashes. So that's like not the kicker card that you're getting in on. You're probably getting in on like 2-headed giant or a Halar is probably a good one, or the rare version.
Every time I've ended up in the red green deck, that's how I've ended up there. Was I first or second picked a Halar or a 2-headed giant or whatever the warlord.
Yeah, the warlord.
Rare.
Raza.
Yeah, that's how I always end up in that deck.
Yeah, I think that's probably the main way. You can also get in it with like Untamed Kavu and then like or Skizix. Like those are like the types of like the uncommons are pretty good with that. But you need to be like, so you're going to be taking like a Skizix or an Untamed Kavu similarly to how you'd be taking like a control card. But these are just the ones that can double as like really good in this aggressive card in this aggressive deck. So like if you first pick Grow from the Ashes, or what's another example, or like a Wizard's Lightning is kind of weird in this deck, right? And so
or Shivan Fire.
Shivan Fire. Like all those cards are definitely good in it, but they're not like pulling you to try to be aggressive. Whereas the Halar is, and the rare, the Grand Warlord Rada, are also pulling you there. And then normally it's like I'll be like close to that deck, and then I'll get like a late Gaia's Protector and be like, okay, well, I'll take this because this is something that I could do. And then you get like Warlord Screen, like, okay, like I'm gonna try to now make this happen.
How do you value Jousting Lance in this deck?
You need it pretty bad. Like Jousting Lance, I actually think is just kind of good. Like it's the best common equipment. Like Short Sword is way worse than it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jousting Lance is like really sweet. It's really good with Quinde also. It has like a lot of synergies, like random little sapperlings. It's good on flyers. Like I just think that card is just really solid. And so you're gonna have to like value it pretty highly. So I think I was getting them earlier in the format later. Like you get them like 7th, 8th pick. That hasn't happened as much anymore online.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that if you want them, you have to take them earlier.
Yeah, you do. You can't be like, oh, I'll get it later. Like you just won't get one.
So what about blue-red?
All right. So blue-red, I feel like is such a weird deck. So everyone says that it's great, but I guess I haven't been very lucky, and I haven't opened very many Adelises. And if you don't open Adelise, I don't understand how you ever play blue-red. Like I've played against it, and if they don't draw Adelise, it just feels like a worse version of blue-black, basically, or a worse version of blue-white. And then you're just like leading so heavily on that uncommon. But if you draw Adelise, it's like really, really strong. And so it kind of puts me in a weird spot where I don't actually know how good that deck is. Like people speak so highly of it, but I'm not as impressed.
So I think of the blue-red deck in this format kind of like the Merfolk deck in Ixalan and Rivals, where I felt like when you got the best version of it, it was unbeatable. And then when you get a mediocre version of it, you don't feel like you can ever win.
Yeah. So in Ixalan specifically, the best Merfolk version was like actually unbeatable. Like that deck was insane. I don't think this one is as unbeatable as that, but maybe it is. I've seen some crazy lines. So I was watching a stream and the person was just like, play a random 1/3, play a random 1/3, play a random 1/3. just like divination, just make land drops, and then like one shot someone because they had like 4 wizards. Yeah, and then they went like Adelies, opt, Shivan Fire. Law, like what in the world?
I've also seen the 2-mana 2/1 that forks all your wizard abilities.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Nabon. That card's ridiculous. Yeah,
it is. Especially, you just play the 3-mana 3/2, deal 2 damage if you control another wizard.
The Journey Mage.
Yeah, you just deal 4, and then you bounce 2 creatures with your other guy, and then.
Did you watch any of the coverage? So it was team sealed, so it's definitely different, right? But I think it was Jeremy Dezani had like the most insane Wizards deck. He was dumpstering on people. And like it was really, really good. And it was that I think he had like 5 Journey Mages or 4 Journey Mages or something. And so his opponents just started every game at like 14. Like, all right, well, I mean, it's really easy to kill you when you start 15.
I drafted one a week ago that had 5 Journey Mages and the same thing. It's just they just start at 10 life.
Like I just need to get in a little bit of damage, and then if you have a Wizard's Lightning, you're like, ooh, I don't need to kill any creatures.
Yep. Or fight with fire and the game's over.
Yeah, Fight with Fire is a crazy card. That one's
that card's insane.
Yeah.
So, what about the other decks like red black, white red? Do you ever find?
I think can come together. So the white decks I have struggled with. So like white, I don't know, but I do not like drafting white very much. So I like blue white, and that deck feels synergistic to me. But like white green has felt terrible. Like have you had any success or seen success with white green?
I tried to force white green with the Angel, but it didn't come together. I remember thinking the deck was going to be like one of the best when the format first came out, but I've not been impressed with it.
There's like its payoff cards just aren't very good, right? Like Charge is supposed to be like its payoff card, and Call of the Cavalry, and like so everyone talks about how 2 for 2 is like almost unplayable, right? Well, that Call of the Cavalry is like
it's just 4 mana for 2 2/2s.
Yeah, two unplayable cards. That's all you're doing. You're just like you're paying 4 mana for your unplayable 2/2s instead. So yeah, it's very weird.
I played some good white black decks, but and some white blue decks, but I've not had any success with white green or white red.
Yeah. Yeah, the white red like Valduk Tiana deck is like not a thing. I mean, maybe you'll be in white red. The problem is like the red cards aren't very aggressive, right? Like you have like Get 2 Chronicler is your 2-drop, and then if you're playing the Blood Crazed Paladin, that's actually Blood Crazed Goblin, that's actually just a 2/2 in the white red deck. So then it's just not very good. You need to be in red green or Bloodstone Goblin for it to actually do something. And so the white red deck struggles because it's like a 2-drop theme deck that all of your 2-drops aren't good. But so white black, I've drafted it quite a few times and it has not been good normally. But what have your white black decks looked like?
Well, they were really stupid. They were just like white black knight decks, like knight.
Like you actually got
decks. Yeah. So white. Yeah, the 3/3 that makes all of your other guys +1/+1, and then like 2 History of Benalia, and
yeah, I mean
that deck turns out to be pretty good.
Yeah, those are the types like it can come together for sure, but like the Knight of Grace and Knight of Malice I thought were going to be insane, and they're just like okay.
See, so I've been quite impressed with them. Like I actually thought in the beginning that they were just okay. And now I kind of feel like, depending on who you play and what their deck looks like, sometimes you just get a bunch of free damage. Like you get like 6 to 10 free damage with your knight.
Yeah. So like they're definitely good. So there's just not very many decks that capitalize on it, right? So I'm trying to think. Like if you think of any like good card that is of a different strategy, so like Tatiova, for example. It's like a gold card that's insane and like completely different strategy. But like that's the type of card that I want to be taking early. Or I mean, they're not on like very similar power levels, but or like just a removal spell. Like an Eviscerate is much more with the game plans that I'm going to generally construct than Knight of Malice is. And like in other formats, Knight of Malice would be way better than Eviscerate, just because it's like so efficient. But I
Just
like Eviscerate.
2 drops
Like,
just don't matter in this format hardly at all.
yeah, and so like if you get a deck where you can make it matter, then like they can be very good. But it's just like so often they don't.
So where do you see everybody else at the Pro Tour? What do you think they're going to be drafting, or what do you think they're going to be looking for?
So I think the successful way to draft, which I think most people will also conclude, is that you either want to be like if your first it really I think your first few picks definitely determine a lot of like what your general strategy is going to do. So like if you open a Tadiova, like you really want to make that happen and like try to plan for a late game deck, right? Because you can play a deck that can reliably go into the late game that'll draw your bombs and that you'll be able to win with your cards that are better than your opponents, right? But if you don't open that type of card, I think it's like a good place to be trying to play like Run Amok deck, because Run Amok is really strong if you can utilize it. And so it's like making like you have options. That's why I like the red green deck so much, and I assume that I'll probably draft it at least once in the TT, assuming that I have 2 opportunities to draft.
I was about to say that's at maximum 50%.
It ranges from 0. I assume that I'll draft green red probably either 50 or 100% of my drafts. But just because like I don't think it's very popular, and I think that you can get a very reasonable deck without much fighting. Whereas like if I'm trying to first pick, I mean like if I first pick them in Bolus's Clutches, I'm gonna make it work, right? Like I'm gonna try to make it happen. But it's so much easier to just first pick like a 2-headed giant and then get a Skizik second and then take an Elfhame Druid or like right like I mean you wouldn't get that third, but like those types of pick orders just will come up a lot more, I think.
Have you drafted the red-black deck very much?
So that one is weird. That's like super grindy. You're like trying to Keldon Raider, Soul
It's the
Salvage.
control deck. It's the actual control deck.
Yeah. So I think I like the blue-black version better, but I've played a lot of Grixis actually. So I've played a lot of just straight 3-color Grixis. Normally splashing like the top end, obviously, right? But having Chroniclers and the
Skin Witch.
Yeah, but having both of those is like really powerful out of red black.
You just rebuy all the removal spells, and then get the last 2 cards out of their hand.
Yep.
And then
most games you don't have to.
Attack them for 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like most games you don't have to play it on 2, but if you do, you need to. So like they are your 2 drops, but normally you just won't play anything on 2, and then from turns 3 on, you'll just be playing some kind of like reasonable creature and or a removal spell, and then you'll play Soul Salvage, and like Keldon Raider goes a long way in that deck because you don't have as much card draw, so you need to like you have Dark Bargain and Soul Salvage, but Keldon Raider acts as like you play 3 Keldon Raiders and you discard lands 7, 8, and 9 every game, and then that you basically drew 3 cards, right? Like you don't need to play Divination, you play like a 4-mana cantrip.
So. Yeah. Are you playing 17 lands or are you playing 18 lands in these decks?
Depends. I normally go off mana sources, but like 17, I've been defaulting to 17. I need like a mana sink or like let's say I'm playing Grixis with little fixing and I have a fight with fire, then I'll play 18. Like there's like times when I'll play 18, but I've still been defaulting to 17. Also, if your power level is really high, I'll go up to 18. So I had a deck with like 2 Bolus's Clutches, and I had a bunch of draw spells, but I was like, I can just play 18 because if I just cast my spells, I'll win.
Yeah, I've just been playing 18 in pretty much every deck that I've drafted.
Yeah,
I didn't. The white-black deck I played 17, but for everything else, I just played 18 because that's the way I've been drafting, is just the most powerful cards and then trying to build a deck around it. And I just want to be able to always cast them on turn 6 or 7 or 8.
Yep. How do you do the Llanowar Elves? So like I draft green-red a lot, and I'll occasionally have like 2 Llanowar Elves, and then I'm like,
yeah,
so
card's
I want
fine.
to just play 16 lands or something, but
yeah, I'll count 2 of them as 1 land, and then I don't ever want to play a 3rd elf.
Yeah. The elf is not as good as I was expecting.
Yeah, it in the right deck, it's good, but it just
It leads
doesn't
to
do.
good draws, right? Like you can definitely have some crazy draws. You're on the play
Yeah,
and you go elf, and then you play a
turn two
Baloth Border.
Halar is insane.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm just like turn 3 Baloth Border is pretty good. Play a 2 or a 3 drop, doesn't really matter. And then you just play like a Baloth Border is big.
Yeah, Baloth Border is great.
Yeah, that card's just very large. There's not very many large things in the format.
So when it comes time to draft in the Pro Tour, are you going to try and draft a 3-0 deck, or are you going to try and draft like a good solid deck that you can try and go 2-1 3-0 with?
So I think you're supposed to. So you're supposed to try to draft a 3-0 deck. But I think that's kind of over exaggerated, right? So the concept is that going 3-0 at the Pro Tour is worth a lot. Like it's really good. Going 2-1 is good. Going 1-2 is like bad, and going 0-3 is disastrous. So but you get nothing for going 8-8 at a PT.
Right.
You get practically nothing for going 9-7, right? So you need to like be getting lots of wins. Like if you just going 3-0 is just worth so much that you should be valuing that highly. But I don't think you need to be like first picking some weird rare because you need to make it work and need to really pop off with Curator's Ward on Valduk so that you can win, right? Like you don't need to be trying to build a Precognition Field deck, right? Like you don't need to be taking weird decks. You just need to be like you can 3-0 by just being consistent also, right? Like you can draft a medium green-red deck that just has like a curve and some run amucks and some Gift of Growth and go 3-0 by just killing people. Like that's a very reasonable way to win. So I guess like it's kind of weird. You should just approach it the same as you would anyway. Like you just want whatever gives you the highest win percentage.
Overall. So you're going to try and draft regular decks rather than the decks that you actually enjoy drafting.
Well, yeah. I mean,
is that correct?
Yeah. I definitely
no Danny Cathro specials.
Although I've drafted some Danny Cathro specials, so I'm not like when I think it's good, I'll still draft it. Like I drafted some weird decks at GPs and Pro Tours before, but it's just because I thought they were good. But yeah, definitely just whatever I think is good. The legendary sorceries are weird. Those that's the type of card that you could be like, oh, whether you're really doing it, right? Or like, do you want to build a 3-0 deck with Jaya's Immolating Inferno? You're like, I have 3 legendaries.
Going to go around.
What?
How late do you think those are going to go around? Like, do you think that somebody's going to?
So they're very weird. So like the green one's bad. So the white one is kind of bad, but kind of good. That was just weird. The blue one, and I think black is like the middle. The red is the best. I think the red is the most worth it. And then I think like black and blue are kind of close, and then white is kind of bad. So I think the red one won't go late, but I could see like Yawgmoth's Vile Offering and Karn's Temporal Sundering just wheeling because people don't want to mess with it. Like all of them could actually wheel except for Jaya's Immolating Inferno.
How many legendaries do you have to have in your deck for you to take Temporal Sundering or Vile Offering?
This is kind of goes back to your 3-0 deck, right? So let's say that I'm in pack 2 and my deck sucks. I am way more likely to take a Yawgmoth's Vile Offering instead of like a 3-2 for 3 if my deck sucks. But if my deck's already good, then I won't take it. Right? So that's kind of what you're talking about. Like you get those cards that are like high risk or high reward definitely depend on how your deck draft is going so far. So in that way, like I think I'm gonna take them pretty low though. I don't want to mess with it. I've died with those in my hand so many times. But I think I want like 3 or 4 at the bare minimum.
That makes sense. I think 4 is kind of the minimum to kind of consider it.
Yeah, I might do 3 with the Inferno, especially if one's Squee.
Ooh, that's really good.
Yeah, Squee is great with Inferno.
Yeah. So one last question as far as card evaluations go. What about the memorials, the lands? So let's start with the worst one, in my opinion, the red one.
Yeah, the red one's the worst.
You ever
It's
play
still
the red
not
one?
unplayable. No, you can play it. I will bring it in if my opponent has memorials. Like if I'm playing against blue and they have the blue memorial and they're splashing, then I'm like, okay, yeah, like I'll play this red memorial. I can afford a tap land so that like I might get you, right? Like they play their swamp or they play their island that casts their Tatiova, and you're like, you just kill it.
Right. What about the green one?
Green one I think is second worst. Maybe white. White and green I think are about the same, right?
So every time I've ever seen somebody activate the green one, I felt like they were losing. If they had to take that much time off, they can't cast the card generally that they want to get that they grab with it.
Why is that different than the blue and the black?
Just because of the kind of deck that they're playing. Generally, the green deck wants to be playing more threats and be a little bit more aggressive and applying pressure. And I feel like the blue and the black one are looking for answers as opposed to threats.
That actually makes sense. So, like, if the green one was just a blue card, like, it would be good. But because, like, the green decks are wanting to, like, build out a board and affect the board a lot, then it is worse. That makes sense. So I take them pretty highly. Like, so I have the red one very low. I have, like, the white and green probably as, like, a middling common. Like, fifth or something, and then I have like the blue and black ones as like maybe third best commons or in their colors.
Oh, really?
Like I think they're like really good. Like the blue one, I think it. So black, I mean, I like Eviscerate and Vicious Offering more than it. So that might be it. Oh, but yeah, like I think that's it. That's an uncommon. Yeah, that's an uncommon. So like I think it's probably like it would fit in as like the best common. I think I'd take the memorial. It depends. I'm like
depends on what your deck looks like and what you feel like you need.
Exactly. Yeah. But like I think it's the third best one. The blue has so many good cards that the blue one is probably like fourth or fifth. But yeah, they're like I think they're insane. And then especially if my deck is really like if I'm doing it, if I think my colors are open, I'm taking those like even higher because I know that I can get a card to replace it, and then I just get another free pick. So if my draft's going poorly, those go down. If my draft's going really well, they go really, really up.
Okay, well, that has all of my questions for the format, but here's the real question that I have for you. Right. If you don't make day 2, are you drafting Battle Bond?
Am I drafting Battle Bond?
Yeah.
So I honestly don't even know what Battle Bond is. I like have paid
giant.
I have paid no. It's a 2-headed giant format. I legitimately did not know that it was a 2-headed giant format.
It's supposed to be draft 2-headed giant style.
How do you draft 2-headed giant?
So you get your pod of 8 drafters, and you sit next to your teammate, and then as the pack comes, you take yours, and your teammate can look at while you're drafting, and then you pass it to them, and they take a card, and so you're building both of your decks at the same time.
Wait, what? You draft 2 packs at a time?
Well, you each draft 1 pack at a time, but you can look and share information with your teammate who's sitting next to you.
Whoa. That's kind of insane. Yeah, I've exerted zero thought. I think Dominaria is good. That if I scrub out, I'll probably just play more Dominaria. But
this format's great, though, right? I mean,
it's really good.
I can just play it nonstop.
Yeah, no, it's like really, really good. Yeah, I like have no complaints. It's really fun. It feels like very diverse. Like the decks are very different, and like you can play it over and over again, and like keep getting decks that are like very unique, which is cool. But yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully I make day 2. But Pro Tours are tough though. Like anything could happen for sure.
Yeah.
Very tough. But
all right. Well, I
sweet.
think that just about wraps everything up for tonight. But I do wish you luck at the Pro Tour, and I wish you luck with submitting your deck list and choosing your last cards for it.
I got 2.5 more hours. We're good. Plenty of time. Yeah, I think I love that it starts with draft. It makes it feel nice. Because like the drafting part is the fun part of the Pro Tour, and then I feel like the standard is like the homework for sure.
Yeah.
But you have to do the standard so that you can do the draft for sure. But and then as far as our usual thing, let me look. So we normally in the show with them what's the pick. So I'm gonna to see if there's been any interesting what's the picks recently. Doesn't look.
You don't see any?
But there's like.
Well, here. This is really easy.
Oh my goodness. This is wonderful.
All right,
Drew's
so
ready to go.
I tried to get Battle Bond packs, but Jordan didn't have any yet. So,
Okay.
all right, Fire Elemental.
Yep,
No.
crappy. Terrible.
Dub.
Terrible. I've played neither of those cards. I've played a Fire Elemental once.
Tolarian Scholar.
I've played that far too much, but it sucks. A 2/3 is actually fine. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Frenzied Rage.
Only with Valduk.
Here's another one. Blessing of Belzenak.
Never. Not once.
Gift of Growth.
So far that's winning. This pack sucks though, man.
Astir Glider.
That card is really bad. It does a thing. Sometimes you want the thing that it's doing, but not very often. It attacks for 2.
Rampaging Cyclops.
Surprisingly fine. It's like okay, but not great.
Gift of Growth over Rampaging Cyclops then?
I would take an Aether Glider just because it's colorless.
Oh, would you really?
I don't even know. I don't want to make a decision yet.
Rest.
Is this a loaded pack?
No.
All the terrible cards.
All right, here we go. Blessed Light.
Sure, deal.
All right, here we go. Icy Manipulator.
Ugh. So there's almost no rares that are better than this, right?
Right.
It's like top 5 first picks in the set easily,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. Yeah, that card is like, I didn't understand how good it was going to be because I've never played with it before.
Mm-hmm. Settle the
very
score. We're
Also
still
good,
taking
but
Icy.
not as good. Yeah.
Okay, Grun.
Grun is a weird card. It's not that crazy good. It's fine, but Icy's insane.
A rare is Woodland Cemetery, so I think we're still taking Icy.
The legendary creature. It was Grun.
Yeah, Grun.
Yeah, Icy is ridiculous.
All right, so if we first pick Icy,
I love it. Perfect. All right, last
all
night.
right,
Let's
so
go. What's our second pick?
so I will boil it down to the cards that actually matter.
No more rampaging Cyclops, please.
So we have some combination of the 3 of these:
Okay.
Slimefoot, Helm of the Host, Juggernaut, and a second Icy.
Wait, are you serious? That's such a better pack. I would just take the second Icy. That is impressive.
I'm assuming that pack 1 they're taking Helm, and then we're just taking a second Icy.
Yeah,
but if
yeah,
not,
we would get whatever's left, right? Either a Helm or an Icy. But
yeah,
that's sweet.
Okay. Well, there's some picks.
Thank you, Drew, and thank you for coming on the show. It was very fun doing one with
you.
you. And then we also do have a Patreon. It's something to do with limited time only. Not exactly sure what the name of it is, but I do really appreciate it every time that people contribute. But yeah, it's always free. I just love doing the show for you guys. And then, yeah, if you do have any interesting picks, you can tweet them, and then I'll look them up, and we'll talk about them. But besides that, I think we're all set. And then hopefully I open up some Icy Manipulators at the Pro Tour, just like we just did here. So That'd be great.
Well, hopefully next week on Limited Time Only, it will be Pro Tour winner Danny Cathro.
That could actually just happen. That would be pretty crazy.
It could happen.
Could. Sweet. See you guys. Have a good night.
Good night.